Well, Mark, this game, it really does sell itself. It's got everything, the way in which it's so nicely poised for both sides. Such a long while since we've had a derby game at the Abbey Stadium. It's a big one.
Yeah. Look, it's a big game because of the context of where we are in our season, and I guess for them as well. We're both fighting to get above a line and stay above a line in the table. Different ends, but we've all got our own objectives for the season, and both teams are in decent form. Certainly they are, and their away form and the form since Darren's been in has been exceptional. So we know that's a tough game and creates a tough test for us. But in what should be a brilliant atmosphere and a real energised stadium, we're looking forward to the challenge of the game firstly, but also to try and continue the good work that we've had in the last couple of weeks.
You might not want to really write any headlines for us in this respect, but is it the biggest single game since the promotion match against Grimsby? Is it right up there?
Well, it's not for us, to be honest. It's a really important game because it's worth the same number of points as the others and where we are in the context of our season. I'm sure other people might say that there is extra significance towards it. I understand that. But that's not really for us. We have to be really connected to the game emotionally and understand what it means to people, what it means to us, and the level that we're going to need to get to be competitive and to try and win the game for sure, but not hijacked by it at all. We've got to play, we've got to be competitive, we've got to be good, and we've got to follow the idea of the last few games because that's been really successful for us and it's paid us back, and that's what it will need to be in the remaining 6 games. You know, for us, the cliche of cup finals, since the Burton break, we sort of had 9 with 3 down, 6 to go, and we've got to enjoy this chase, and this game's a really important one, and it has extra and individual significance when you step back and take it away from and see a bigger story. I understand that, but actually in the context of a 9-game season for us and what we need to achieve, it's probably no different to the other games. We've got to make sure that we are at our absolute best, knowing that the games that we've got against top teams are always a challenge for us, and the pressure's on both teams to perform and get a result.
What sort of factor is being at the Abbey the potential for home advantage? The atmosphere can, I would suspect, really play in your favour if everybody pulls in the same direction?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, the atmosphere in the away leg was brilliant. It was exactly what you expect from a derby game, and I know it'll be the same this weekend. So hopefully that really drives us on, and everybody's bang behind the team and really supportive as they has been, and we've had tremendous support. Our home form's been good over the season and recently very good. So we're pleased with that, but we play a team whose away record's been excellent as well. So, like you said, it's set up to be a belter of a game with both teams fighting for their own things and playing for their own objectives. And I can't wait to feel the atmosphere in the stadium. But most importantly, when you detach yourself from that, I just hope it's us that delivers a top performance, and it's us that takes points from the game because we've got our own objectives that we need to achieve.
Is it a benefit to be playing ahead of Oxford on Saturday? Is there the chance just to pile a bit more pressure on them?
Do you know what? It's the first time I've ever thought of it. I don't know if it makes any difference really. We have to just play our own games, and what happens elsewhere happens. So for us, it's more about, that's probably a question for them, and only a question for them if we get the result. So really, we've got to concentrate on doing our thing. 6 games to go. We're going to have to win a lot of them, and to stay in touch and to take this to the last week. And we know that the next 3 games are really important. 2 being at home, 1 being away against a team trying to get that, a final position or top 2 positions. So I think we're at the stage of the season where there's massive consequences on all the games, and that creates pressure, but it also creates an excitement. And I want us to really use that as a driving force in our performances. I think it has done in recent weeks, and I really hope that's the same this weekend.
As you say, Peterborough being particularly good away from home under Darren. They love to find that space on the break, so something to be wary of. You can feel you're having a good moment in a match, but they're the sort of side that can get straight up the other end and grab a goal.
Yeah, I think you can see that in all of the teams that are chasing those top positions. They've got goals in the team, they've got threats in the team, they can control games, or they can be a resilient team defensively and break on teams. That they've got, a bit like any team that's at the top of the table, they probably fare quite well in every statistic, and they certainly do. I think they're 2nd or 3rd in the table since Darren's been there. So there's no doubt that we know the difficulty of the task and the strength of the opponent, but at the same time, it's a game where we hope that none of that matters and we can go and deliver the top performance that we know we're capable of. And we'll need to do it. We did it at Bolton on Monday. We'll have to do it again here. We'll do it against Wycombe. We'll have to do it against Plymouth. It's where we're at in the season. There's no... almost the league table has to become irrelevant for us. We've got 6 games that we've got to go and perform in, and the next one's this one Saturday, and we can't wait for it.
Have you had any contact with Will Norris ahead of this one? It's funny, I suppose, for both him and Ryan Bennett, in that you're not just talking about players who have played for the opposite team, but 2 players who played really well and were hugely popular for the other club. Yeah,
no, I've not spoke to either actually about the games. I saw Will a few months back before he signed there, but no, I haven't spoken to him, and I don't imagine I will do before the game now.
Yeah, probably best that way. With the team news then, it must be really nice that with the 3 games that you've had, the 3 positive results, that it's not just about the players going out there and putting in the strong performances tactically, and clearly Bolton was very different, but tactically you've been spot on as well, so loads to work with going into this game.
Yeah, look, I think when we got to January and we mentioned about the players we were signing, we knew there would come a stage in the season, or we hoped there would come a stage in the season where we had a big squad. I think we've got the biggest squad in the league at the moment in terms of players registered. So we've got lots of players that are coming towards fitness at the right time and hopefully form at the right time. We also knew that it would give us the ability to play multiple shapes and systems. And a couple of weeks ago I said we'll play probably 3 or 4 between the end of the season. We've already played probably 3 already in the last 3 games at different points. And imagine that will be the case as we go ahead. We've got the ability for lots of players to play in lots of positions, and for us to pick a system that can work for a game. And obviously, if you change things and get positive results, people buy in and become more confident that we can do that in many different ways. So we've got lots of options at the moment. We are 1 or 2 that we've got to check on the next couple of days off the back of 2 games in quick succession. So we need to see whether they're okay or not, but there's a couple that have come out of the Bolton game struggling. So we need to touch on that, and then we need to decide what's the best way to go in the team and the shape that we pick to give us the best chance of firstly being in the game and being a competitive team, and then having a chance of winning it.
Yeah, so a couple of potentially fresh injury concerns. With the ones we know about, George Williams, Liam O'Neill, any chance for either of those 2?
So George Williams, no, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. He's got a problem in his knee, so he's going to be out for 2 weeks, probably 3 maybe. So we may have a chance for the last week of the season with him. George Thomas is training flat out now, and he's probably going to be available for selection this weekend, assuming he does okay in the next couple of days. Liam O'Neill had his first session on the grass with the rest of the squad on Tuesday. And he'll have a couple of days, even though they'll be a bit lighter in the next couple. So he's maybe a little bit further behind in terms of training, but again, as long as things go well with him, he'll be one to add to the squad as well.
Yeah, perfect example with George Thomas moving on. With Bajiri having come back, that is the sort of impact that George will hope to make over the final games. You can still play a part, and a big part.
Yeah, I said to a couple of them, you might only play a handful of games for us and get a statue at the end of the season. You've got the potential to be a right hero in a short period of time. So, look, we hope that that's the case. We hope that some come in the team and make a big impact. I think Vajiri's come on the pitch a couple of times and done that. And the fact that we've got the options that we've got, the ability to change players like for like, we haven't had that a lot of the season, and that's been probably our biggest downfall, the biggest contributor to the problems that we've had. And hopefully it can be the biggest contributor to the success we're going to enjoy between now and the end of the season. We've got a massive challenge on to make sure we're still in the race in the last week with the next 3 games. But we go into this next batch of 3 games in really confident mood, looking to see if we can cause some more upsets and surprises.
Brilliant, that's great from me.
Hi Mark, has taking 7 points from the last 3 games given you renewed hope of survival this season?
Well, we never really didn't have hope. It was always possible, but it was a long shot, and it's still a long shot in some respects, but it's possible. So I think everybody has certainly got a renewed optimism and confidence about the level we're at, the fact that we're capable of winning games. I think that's really important, and the fact that we've won games against different levels of teams, and not only different levels of teams, but in different ways. I think that's really key, because that will be the ingredients we need between now and the end of the season. So we're certainly we're in the race, which is massive, because 2 weeks ago everyone would have said we were out of it, but we don't like being written off, and we think we've got a chance. But we also know not only has our form got to be exceptional, we are still relying on other teams. So we've got to make sure we are continuing that level and understanding that how hard we're working, how committed we are at the moment needs to be how we are for the remaining 4 weeks of the season, because that's what it will take to win.
And on Saturday's game, you did touch on it earlier, but what type of team are Peterborough under Darren Ferguson?
Yeah, I mean, individuals haven't changed so much since the previous manager, so there isn't a huge amount of difference in terms of the individuals that are playing, but they've been defensively very good and able to see games out and be really secure in their play. They've got excellent wide players that can deliver crosses, and they've got obviously one of the top scorers in the league in Johnson Clark-Harris, who gives them a real threat, and players that are tidy in the ball. They can break fast, counter-attack well. So they've got lots of qualities in their attacking play. They've been high-scoring, low-conceding team. They've got everything going for them at the moment, and their recent run of form has given them put them in the driving seat really to be in the playoff position. So they're under pressure to keep winning to stay in those, because there's some massive clubs trying to get there, as much as we're under pressure to keep getting results to stay in touch with those above us. So it's set up nicely. It's one of 6 games that are big for us, and hopefully it's one that we can continue getting points out of.
When you're facing a goal scorer like Johnson Clark-Harris, do you pay particular attention as to how to keep him quiet heading into the game?
I think we pay particular attention to a lot of teams and a lot of opposition players. So we will prepare any week for the biggest threats in an opposing team, whether that is how they create their chances, who creates their chances, the way in which we feel we can stop them, and then the way in which we think we can hurt them. And some of that is individual focused, and some of that is just team focused. So the answer is yes, because we do that for pretty much everybody. And you have to be really careful not to put all your focus into one player, because if a team's got multiple threats, which they have, then you have to make sure you cover all of those bases. So our work will be around, can we contain them as a unit, as a team, and then understand the way in which individuals play within that, and where can we hurt them, and in what shape is it going to be that we have to go with to try and hurt them and contain them and get that balance right. And we've got plenty of options now, whether we go the way we have done in the game before Bolton, or we go the way we did go against Bolton, which was a really effective game for us as well. So plenty of options and decisions to make, which is the way you want it, really.
That's great, thank you.
Mark, just one from me on Sam Smith. He scored in 3 games in a row now, which I think is the first time he's done that since February last year. Why is that? Is he doing something different? Are you doing something as a team to perhaps create some more opportunities for him, or a mixture of the two?
I don't know is the answer. I think we've there's been chances in other games in a previous run where he should have scored, and he'd know that. So we've been even in the run prior to this little upsurge, we had games where we were really dominant and should have scored goals. We had goals chalked off that were goals that would have influenced the games completely. There's no doubt in the run of 10 or 12 games prior to this run, we should have had 6 of them where we were better off than we were. And then people get kidded on that we're not a good side, when actually we are, and we have been. And the only difference in the last few games is when we've had certain moments in the game, we've took them, and we hadn't taken them in the last game. And the level of performance in certain areas is better because confidence rises, and therefore the intensity can go up a little bit. So there can be lots of contributing factors to it. I think in the end, players become more confident when things start to go well, and that's probably been a spin-off. That's what we've seen. You also can't pick the order of your games. Sometimes we've had some monster fixtures back-to-back, or some really high-pressure games back-to-back. Our back-to-back wins came against teams that we thought we could beat, and we got them on a day where we did beat them, and it went well for us, and we were the better team on both occasions. So that helped. The order of the fixtures helped. I think the break going into the first game, having had a bit of time off, I think he got some sun in Dubai the weekend before, so that was probably great because we got away from each other for a little period of time. Everyone got on holiday for 3 or 4 days and enjoyed some sunshine, and came back with a bit of a renewed mindset of go and have a right crack at it for the last 9 games. So there's probably loads of things, but in the end, sometimes you look too deep. Everybody's human. It's a monster season that we've had. It feels like the longest season in history. I think because of a World Cup in there, we've had really tough moments in there as well, where it's just layered on top of us and people have felt under pressure and really low on confidence. and you have zero ability to ever have a day off or many times off where you can go and be a human being. And we got one where people could have 4 days off, and the difference was massive. So I'm all for winter breaks in the leagues.